Okay, it's Tuesday, January 17th. This is an end of the day SPY recap, and you can see here on Tuesday, first trading day of the 4-day week, we end up with essentially a very weak looking, it's almost a shooter bar, but you don't know for sure yet, but it certainly didn't follow through strongly to the upside. What did happen is you did take out the high from the previous day, which was kind of expected when you see a green bar like that. And on the weekly chart, we definitely took out the high of that bar. So it's really done what all it needs to do. It would be nice, if you're long, it would be nice if it continues higher, but we're going to find that out. It's kind of an interesting scenario unfolding now. First, let's just look at the day's trading, the way it worked, very just on the SPY index itself. What happened was, bias to the upside if you listen to the pre-market report, and on that opening bar here as it paused, there was a 5-minute chart where I actually bought some calls, and it started moving up really nicely in the fourth bar, and I scaled out and I set up a no risk trade, and then I was just looking for it. It had a window up here, up to like the 405 area if things really wanted to get strong. But on this big red bar, I exited the second half of the position with a small gain, took an overall small gain, and then really there was nothing else to do for the rest of the day. I said this should be the high of the day. We never even took out the pre-market lows. We just kind of bounced around a little bit. So the question is this just really a failure bar or more of a pause bar? And what's interesting about this now, if you look at the kind of what if scenarios unfolding, if we get a 2 down bar tomorrow, that then has a target down to this low here. And when it reaches that low, that triggers the weekly failure. So it's an interesting scenario. If we can get an opening kind of below the midpoint of today that starts down and gives me a 2 down day below the low of today, that does project down here. And if that unfolds, then that is a weekly failure, kind of moving above the high of the previous week, getting to the halfway point, which then projects the rest of the week all the way down here. So we have a big potential failure unfolding. But what also could happen is you can come down here. Let's say you would think you're going to take out the lows tomorrow, just given this bar, and at least start down. We'll have to really key on opening price action to see what kind of strength unfolds. But if we get a scenario like here, where we had kind of an inside bar and we broke to the downside, we were targeting there, we never reached it, then all of a sudden that sets a stage for a big reversal and a big strong move. So if we have a 2 down day tomorrow that can't reach this target, keep in mind, that'll be Wednesday, then all of a sudden you might, and depending what the bar ends up looking like, that could be a strong signal of continuation of the rally to the upside. So it's kind of interesting, in terms of what this may mean, this little bar here today. We sort of failed to take out the pre-market low, so that shows a little bit of strength, more of pause action here. And then, if we start above the midpoint of this bar and higher tomorrow, then we're just continuing up with the overall continuity of the upside. We still have this green weekly bar. We're holding above the midpoint. We can end up the week very green. So I think tomorrow is an interesting day in terms of what may really unfold here. And if it is a big, strong down move, there's a chain reaction to really set off a lot of, bigger picture movement to the downside. So anyway, let's see what happens. But for today, it was just kind of a very, that's where, again, my particular trading style protects me, so to speak. Once I got in here, I was able to scale out, and then I actually just using just the nature of this bar, I still took a small gain. But even if I broke even overall in the trade, it's because I scale out once I get a move in my favor. Obviously, I was hoping for a directional move today, but it never unfolded. That would have been a move up, orderly pullback, and then a secondary move up. So, there was still some stock, even with the up bias, there was still some stocks that did that. Like Lululemon was a really nice trade today. You can see it did start up, had an orderly pullback, and then a big push up. So there were certain stocks that were moving above its pre-market range that did give you that opportunity. But in terms of the SPY index itself, going back to it, that was kind of mixed, and the overall market was mixed. There were other stocks that were down as well. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, but it could be an interesting day in terms of if this thing really wants to start out to the downside. And I think our pre-market action and the opening price action will really set the tone for what unfolds for the rest of the week.